for this, okay?
Yep.
All right, so once again, we are finally reaching the end of the class here, where we are finally going to do some our class project, which is going to be covering everything that you learned in this class up today. Okay, so everything that we learned from chapters 1 all the way through 12, including payroll, is all going to be summed up in this very class project, okay? So therefore, this one is going to test on how to, will also give you practice on how to properly journalize a transaction, but understand the flow of transactions. So in this case, what you do need for this class is you also need, if you're not quite sure about how to journalize, your best form or best thing that you could have with you is going to be your accounting model, where it has the pictures of all the accounts that you have, and they have arrows on it for your debits and credits. Okay. So with that being said, okay, so this class project is going to be called Coffee Cafe. Okay. Here's an introduction to Coffee Cafe, where Mr. Bob Mason, okay, decides that he wants to open up a small business shop in his hometown neighborhood. Okay. All right. And he gets advice from on opening on how to create a new business and how to get it started. And of course, and he does some research on his own, on his area, to find a place to rent out so he can build his business. Okay. All right, and he asked you to intern for him to help him properly keep his books. All right, so we're going to keep a good track record of everything that he does for the transactions. So this is our practice, all right? And he has a total of $30,000 to invest in his company, okay? $30,000, okay? Mm-hmm. And once again, he asks you to intern. So in this case, we're not going to get paid, right? It's a no paid internship. So what we're going to do is this is for our benefit of practicing how to properly journalize a fictitious business, right? By looking it through in the eyes of Bob, okay? Again, we're going to set up your chart of accounts, okay? And the general journal and the general ledger. So once again, when we take a look at your chart of accounts, right, this is going to be a list of everything that you will need for this class, okay? So again, we're going to be buying a bunch of assets. We're going to have things like checking account, right? We're going to have a bunch of liabilities that we're going to be looking at, such as a notes payable, accounts payable, even as far as a loan, right? Plus all the federal taxes that we are going to be owing, and also sales tax. Right? Mm-hmm. We're also going to be taking a look at the possibilities of revenues that we can earn, right? What are we going to sell in this store? And on top of that, what are expenses that will be there? Okay, so if you remember how to do transaction analysis, right? You need, one of the steps is to refer to your chart of accounts to see if an account exists for you to organize the information in a mannerly way, okay? So your chart of accounts is going to be one of your best friends, especially when we go through understanding the transaction and how we journalize it, okay? And we're also going to be practicing using account numbers. So in this case, how to properly fill out a journal, right? You need the date, you need the account name, you need the PR number, which is the account number, and you need to be able to know to properly debit and credit an account. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there we are. We already have that set up. Now, before we go on forth, let's actually introduce what I have for you guys. So in this case, if you remember, I put on the Google saying that you need your check register, your deposits, your general journal, right? The general journal, which is a bunch of empty cells here. Your chart of accounts is the journal right here, okay? Your check register, so then we will be writing some checks, Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you have a deposits window, and you have a purchase order form as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, and then of course, well, I told you too that we're also going to be looking at using the general ledger
General
for the
what?
first time. The general ledger?
Oh yeah,
Ledger.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, ledger.
So here it's a list of every single account that exists in I'm sorry, I don't want to say QuickBooks, in Coffee Cafe. Okay, so everything that you had on your chart of accounts is going to be the same thing here, but the only difference here is it looks like a journal. The only difference is it has a normal
Balance.
balance. Yes, so that means every transaction that we do, we will know how much each account has. All right, especially in your checking account, which is the very first thing that you'll have here. Right, let me go to my assets. The very first thing that you'll have here is your checking account. So therefore, you're always going to have, you'll always know how much money you have in your bank account at all times. Okay, after every transaction. All right. And the last thing that I wanted to introduce you to is the subsidiary ledger. The subsidiary ledger is going to be a list of all of your vendors and your customers.
Vendors.
The people that you interact with, whether you're purchasing something or you're making a sale, right? In this case, because I have the Excel sheet, I do have an extra tab for employees. For you, if you're doing the Word, I'm going to upload a separate document for you for payroll. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but in this
Yeah.
case, here you go. My I have my vendors, my customers, and my employees all in one. So again, when we interact with a specific person, right? This is where we enter information so we can keep track of that too, right? Especially if we purchase items, right? And we didn't receive something, we call the vendor and ask them, hey, why didn't I receive something? Or another example could be if we buy something, like at least if we're going to return it, we have the information to be able to return items. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's just a little introduction there. So let's actually dive into the actual scenario itself. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now we have a quick book and all kind of program. You have to do that manual, or you have to do that on the program most of the time.
So in this case, right, I'm teaching you how to do it manually using
Mm-hmm.
Excel.
Yes.
Okay. Now, of course, yes, I can teach you this to use QuickBooks, but the only issue here is that we're looking at understanding the accounting behind the scenes, right? Why is it that
Yes.
when we enter in a sales receipt, why are we increasing our sales and increasing our cash flow, right? We this
Mm-hmm.
is the in when we do manual accounting, this is what QuickBooks does behind the scenes is that, oh, okay, so I'm increasing my sales, I'm increasing my sales tax payable, and I'm also increasing my cash flow. All right. So in this case, we're looking at the accounting behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
where opposed to when we use QuickBooks, we don't see that. We only
Yes.
know how to just enter in a transaction and call it a day, right? We don't
Mm-hmm.
see the accounting behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. But
Okay.
we still do it manual and then on the computer, or we this step we just erase totally. And a normal company, I talk about.
In a normal company, you will be using programs such as Excel and or QuickBooks.
And QuickBooks. So
Yes.
you do it manual and you do it on the computer on the program on QuickBooks too. You
No,
do
no, no,
both.
not in this
No,
class. No, in this class,
no, not
I'm
here.
gonna be
No, no.
showing you how to do it manually.
Yes, no. I don't talk about this class. I talk about how is it going in a company if
Yes,
you're
yes,
going to
yes,
do it.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I'm explaining the accounting behind the scenes. So then when you do go to a company and you do record books for them, depending on what program that they use, whether they use Excel or QuickBooks, then yes,
Mm-hmm.
you have a better understanding of how this transaction
How to
works.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's no problem. Yep. That's it.
Okay, so again, if you are using the Excel files, you will be using the Excel files throughout this entire class project. Okay, but if you are using the Word document to print out everything, I will give it to you on a week to week basis. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we are given this section right here. We are set up our accounts already. So let's go ahead and see what happened on the very first day. So this is assuming that here on Friday, May 31st, okay? All right. Bob's friend, okay, from the bank tells him about a small coffee shop business that is going to that's filing for bankruptcy. Okay, and of course he currently is short selling on this market. So therefore, Bob decides to jump in on there and purchase the business the way it is because it's exactly what he wants, right? It's a coffee shop, and that's what Bob wants to do. So he decided to buy out and buy out this little small business to start up his own coffee shop business. Okay, so here are the details here. All right. The bankrupt business has a total assets and sale of existing coffee shop. All right, so he bought. It came with furniture. Okay, that was worth $4,000. It also came with a coffee brewer that was worth $1,900. And then, of course, buying the business name itself, which cost $2,100 to for a total of for the business $8,000. Okay. Now
Mm-hmm.
let's go ahead and talk about this. Now, can I journalize this?
Yes. No.
Well, yes or no?
So I think yes.
Okay, why would you journalize this?
That's a that's asset. No, but he buy.
He bought
Buy
assets.
it
Okay,
to.
good.
Mhm.
Now, what is the very first accounting principle?
Was that the very first accounting principle?
What is the very first accounting principle of GAAP?
I don't know. Accounting system to record everything, every transaction.
Right.
I don't
Okay, but I'm talking about the
know.
principles, right? The accounting principles, right? What was the very first assumption that we learned?
I don't know. I
It's
don't
the
know what you mean.
so the okay, do you remember GAAP? GAAP, there's rules and regulations
Oh
on how to do
yes, you have
accounting,
to.
right?
You have. Uh-huh. Oh! I got it. But so you have to. First you have to. Uh. How you call that? All the. Mm, all the everything you have to collect everything, all the information first, no, and then later you. That's the
No. Okay, so there's accounting rules, right? This is
principle of
chapter
the.
4 where you have assumptions, basic principles and constraints,
So you
right?
have like. So you have to open an account first. Also stuff like that.
Yes, you need to create a separate checking account for your business and your personal. Right now,
Mhm.
do you have a business bank account?
You're supposed to have it. The bank will give you $30,000, no, or is
Well,
yours?
no, the bank did not
Uh-huh.
give me $30,000. That was Bob's own money.
Or money. So
That's he invested
you
into
don't.
his own company.
So you don't have it.
No, we
Oh,
don't
you
have.
suppose we don't have it then.
So therefore, do we journalize this? Yes or no?
No, we need to
We
have
can't. We
that.
don't have. We don't have a business
To,
bank account. So in this case, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
we bought the stuff, but you can't record it because you don't have a business bank account. Right? So then let's go ahead and see what happened next. Okay? So then when Monday rolls around, right? Or yeah, Monday, June 3rd, okay, we apply for a DBA name, which is business doing business as a fictitious name, which we changed it, right? Because in this case, right, this coffee shop already exists under a different name. We actually have to apply for a new name, okay, to change it to Coffee Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And that costs me $25 to apply. Okay. Here, am I able to still record this transaction?
That's a license. That's something like that for the business.
No,
If you don't have an account,
this
bank
is
account,
just changing the name.
changing the name. But
Mm-hmm.
how you record that? If you record, but you pay, you still, what, you're gonna take it from the pocket and you're gonna.
Exactly, right? There a transaction still happened, but can I record it?
No.
No, because I still don't have a business bank account. So in this case, I have to keep in mind, okay, I bought a business for $8,000. I just spent $25 just to change its name. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next day, on June 4th, Tuesday, I applied for the Nevada state and as well as this county for a license, a business
Business
license. Remember,
license.
just
Mm-hmm.
because you buy a business, you need to have a business license in
Mm-hmm.
order for you to sell anything to or provide a
Yep.
service for anybody. You need to apply for one, the state, and of course the city that you're planning to do business in.
Mm-hmm. And
So
you
in
need
this case,
to
mm-hmm.
EIN, no, for the payroll and everything, no.
EIN, right? You have to apply that as a separate cost, or you would apply for that separately. But the ultimate goal is you need to have approved a business license in order
Mm-hmm.
to get an EIN, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can't apply for a business identification number if your business doesn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's
True.
the point of having an identification number if your business doesn't exist?
If you don't have a
Exactly. You
the
need to
business,
have a business first. So in this case, we're applying because now we finally changed the name, right? We have the we bought a store, but we can't sell anything because we don't have a license to do business. So this is where
mm-hmm.
we apply for the license to do business in the state of Nevada and the city. So in this case, we're applying for the city of Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is the form, right? This is what we did. We submitted everything that the person who owns it is going to be Mr. Bob Mason, right? In the state of Nevada, right? State Nevada, okay? City Las Vegas, and here's the phone numbers. This is just a fake number, okay? And email bob at coffeecafe.com. All right, so he submitted this right here. He's the owner. This is his business copy of his business license that he is applying for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then, same day, right? This is where Bob finally opens his business checking account, okay, at the main Bank of Nevada. So here he finally opens up his bank account. So now he only has so much money left because he already spent the money, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Exactly.
now
Yes.
we need to revert because in this case, right, we spent this money for starting up the business, right? We bought a shop, we paid for licenses, and we paid for to change the name. So this is what we have to
Yeah.
do because our assumption is we open the bank account. So what are we gonna do? We can't have $30,000 in our pocket, right? We must dump the money into our checking account. So here it
Mm-hmm.
is, right? We have $21,000 left
Left
in
together.
our hands to dump into the checking account, right? We spent $4,000 worth of furniture. We
Yeah.
spent that $1,900 on a coffee brewer, And then we also paid for goodwill. Goodwill is another terminology because we bought the business as a short sale. Therefore,
Yes.
because we bought it for a low price, that's going to be considered goodwill. Now, again, understanding how that terminology comes into play and how it works is something that you learn in the future, or I'm sorry, in more advanced levels of accounting. But if you did read how to dispose fixed assets, then you'll understand what goodwill is.
But I don't understand. He buy the name of the coffee. Why he need to buy the name of the coffee? If the, I don't
Be-
understand that.
because
Mhm.
that's what I'm explaining right now. Goodwill is
Yeah.
him buying the business name, right? Because
He buy the.
he bought it short sale. That means the value of the company, right?
Mhm.
Because he bought it at a lower price, that's
Yeah.
considered goodwill to him because he got a benefit out of it.
But that doesn't mean he buy the business. Doesn't mean that he buy the name of the business, specific. You know what? It's right or no? I don't know.
Okay, so in this case, right, when he buys the business name,
Business
let's
name.
say let's say it's a popular business. Let's say it's Dietrich's Coffee.
Oh, is it like a license, like a patent or something like that?
Not a
That.
license, not a patent, but because he short sailed and bought it at a low price, to him, goodwill is a
Mm-hmm.
benefit for him because he bought out the name. So basically, he bought the company
Mm-hmm.
even though it went bankrupt, right? Therefore, he's buying it to continue the name.
To continue the business, not to continue the name. No.
Correct, but because he doesn't want to use that name, that's why he had to pay court fees to legally change the name.
All right.
Because
Okay.
so in this case,
Mm-hmm.
he bought the business and he's continuing the business as a coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
And because he bought it at a short sale, which means he bought it real cheap, real low, therefore he gained the company at a low price, which
That's
becomes
different.
goodwill. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that concept of goodwill is something that you will learn in more advanced level of accounting. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to explain, but that's what goodwill is where he bought the business and he since he bought it at a low price, he ended up gaining something from the business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's what
And
goodwill
when you're
is.
trespassing or something like, when you're trespassing, something is the same as a goodwill too, even if it's
No.
not
No.
something different.
No, yeah,
Okay.
that's very different.
Okay.
Okay?
Very curious.
Okay, no worries. Yep. So that's what goodwill is. It's when you buy the name of a business and because you short sell it, therefore it becomes a gain to you because you're gaining extra money, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
you're gaining the business bit like a benefit from the business.
The benefits from the business. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So then there you go. So now I have a list of accounts. Now let's go ahead and do transaction analysis, right? We recognize that a business transaction has already happened, right? We have the source documents, right? We have the legal papers, we have the copy of the license of us applying for it, and we have also the copy of the contract, right, from the bank saying you bought $4,000 worth of furniture, $1,900 worth of coffee brewer, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have the business name itself for 2,100. So in this
Mm-hmm.
case, we do have our source document. So now, in order to confirm, right, we must use our chart of accounts to see if these accounts exist. Well, do we have? Let's go ahead. It's going to be in order by what each one is. Now, what is a checking account?
Checking account, the number account, or
No, just what
what
is
it is?
checking? Yeah,
It's okay. It
it's a
is on
what?
credit.
It's
No,
not a
it's a,
credit.
it's an asset. Sorry,
It's an
that's what
asset.
you.
Good. So
Yeah, it's an asset.
therefore, let's take a look. Do I have checking in my chart of accounts?
Yes.
Yes,
It
you
is
do.
10,100.
10,100. Good. Now, if I bought furniture,
Mm-hmm.
what is that?
Asset.
It is an asset, right? It's a fixed asset, right? So in this case,
Mm-hmm.
let's take a look at our chart of accounts. Do we have furniture here?
Let me see. Yes, yeah, 13,000.
13,000. We do have furniture. What about a coffee brewer? Do we have what is a coffee brewer?
This is an asset too. It's a
It is
1510, I
for
believe.
perfect, right? It's part of an equipment, right? In order to
Mm-hmm.
operate our business, right? Our business is we have a coffee shop. So therefore, this is equipment that we need to use in order to make the coffee, right? So in this case, that's equipment, right? For for
What
1510 for a coffee
we
brewer.
we using the equipment, or we using the account, the sub
In
coffee
this
brew.
case, okay, so let's take a look at my chart of accounts one more time. Now, equipment,
Mm-hmm.
why,
Yep.
okay, is equipment, right? It's a main account. Now,
Mm-hmm.
underneath equipment, we have coffee
It's
brewer, coffee grinder, we have a cash register. Those are sub accounts, sub main
Yes.
accounts,
Mm-hmm.
because it gives the main account more detail, right? You
Yep.
can use equipment, but at the end of the day, right, I also have to figure out depreciation on this, right? So I can't just use equipment because equipment is a broad account.
So
Underneath it, we do have an account that specifies exactly what we bought. So in this
mm,
case, I
it's
have a coffee brewer. But if you're looking
brewer.
at
Yeah.
furniture, right? I don't, the specific item that I bought under furniture doesn't exist because I just bought in general furniture. Now, what I'm
Yeah.
going to do with it in that future is I'm actually going to go back around and sell it. So in this case, I do not need to identify what my furniture is. I can just use the main account furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because I'm not buying shelves, I'm not buying tables, I just bought furniture. Okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, goodwill. Goodwill is going to be considered an intangible asset because, again, when you buy a business name, can you actually
Mm-hmm.
physically touch a business name?
Nope.
No. But we own it, right?
Yes.
We own the business name. So, in this case, that's going to be considered an intangible asset. So, do we
Intangible.
actually have an account called goodwill?
Yes.
Yes, we do. 19,100. And of course, equity is going to be the net worth of my company. Do I have just a regular equity account, or in this case, owner's equity?
We do have a quick case. Yes. 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 30,000 on the other
Yes,
page.
account number
Perfect.
30,000 because again, I'm investing my own money into the company, right? This is
Perfect.
what my value of my company starting out with. So in this case, right? Everything, my
Mm-hmm.
cash, my equipment, my furniture, my business name, right? All
Mm-hmm.
of those are going to be considered the value of my company, right? Because those
Yes.
are all things that I own, right? And if we apply that to our accounting equation, assets equals liabilities plus equity, right? So in this case,
Equity.
my assets equals my equity.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we can't forget about all the licenses that we paid for, permits and license and things to get our business started, which in this case, right? My
It's an
my
expense.
court cost to change the name cost me $25. To apply for the state was $250, and then the city cost me $100 to apply. So in this case, I
Mm-hmm.
just combined them all into one account called license and permit
Permit
expense,
expense.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's go ahead and take a look at my chart of accounts. What account number is that?
It's 6,600. 60,600.
Good. 60,600. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our journal for the first time. All right, so we have a few things, right? What was the date? When did I open
That's
my
what I
bank
want to ask.
account?
The June 4th, but you're supposed to, but you buy stuff before, so you're supposed to start the day that you open your account, a bank
It's the
account.
date that you opened up your bank account.
But your license have a different date, so it doesn't matter.
No, it does not matter because at the end of the
Good.
day, the ultimate goal is you start your business as of May 31st, or did you start opening your business as of June 4th?
The business has to work at June 4th. Yeah, all
Exactly,
the.
because
Mhm.
we created our business bank account. So therefore our transactions start as of June 4th because that's when
Oh,
we open up our bank account. Now in this case, in reality, we haven't even started opening up the shop yet. We're not even ready to open up the shop yet.
mhm.
So in this case, we haven't started our business yet. However, the way that we track our business, right, starting is going to be this very date right here. Okay?
Mhm.
All
What
right.
is that?
All the transactions that happened prior to that, yes, you could date it. You could put it in parentheses in your description that you applied for the business as of June 3rd.
Because all of the receipt that you have from this purchase that are May 31st, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason I ask you. So you just start the business when you open your bank account.
Correct.
That's right. Okay.
And yes, and just like QuickBooks, right? You're able
Mhm.
to backtrack if you need to. And that's the same thing here, right? But the key thing is I can't start recording until I meet the criteria of the rules from GAAP. GAAP tells you you need to have a separate bank account that's separate from your personal bank account for you
Yes.
to be able to manage your transactions accordingly and differentiate between a personal transaction versus a business transaction. All
Mhm.
right. You need a starting point, and the starting point is when you open up your bank account. That's when you officially start your business, right? Think of it in aspect, right? If just like when you close out a bank account, what does that tell us? If you
To
close out
close the
your business,
business.
you close the
To close
business. So
the
then
business.
how do you start a business?
Hi.
The
With the
same
bank account.
rules apply. You need to have a bank account. Exactly. That tells you, all right, you're starting your business as a square at square one. This is what you got to do. You got to open up your business account, even though you had prior assets before that, right? You can do whatever you want, and then when you open up your bank account, right? This is what I'm doing. Okay, at a personal
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, I'm buying stuff to buy a business, right? But that doesn't mean I necessarily am making a business for a purchase for my business. I'm buying it using my personal bank account.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, that's a personal transaction. And then when I open up my business bank account, then I can say, well, this is what I bought for the business. Okay, does that make
Okay.
more sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have here checking, right? That was the first thing that we recognized was a checking account.
A checking account. Mm-hmm. So we open it. It's like we open the account. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a credit debit $30,000.
Now, in this case, do
No,
we have $30,000 in our checking account?
no, now, but you have to journalize step by step. No,
The past date
actually, no. It's equity. You have equity $30,000.
equity is $30,000 because that's
Mm-hmm.
what you originally wanted to put in your company. But because I had to spend money to buy a company and buy a license, buy a permit, buy furniture, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
So
money is not going to be it's equal to $30,000, but is that the money that I have that I can put in my checking account? Do I have the $30,000?
no, no anymore.
No, not anymore. You spent
Mm-hmm.
it slowly.
Mm-hmm. So you
Okay.
jumped right away to journalize how you the status that you have right now.
Yeah.
The force of the. Okay, I
Yes,
got it. So you don't start.
because
Mhm.
I'm understanding that okay, well, even though I spent money for my business, right? What were the items I bought for my business? Well, I bought a
Oh,
furniture, I
assets.
bought a coffee
Okay.
brewer,
Mhm.
I brought the business name, and I had to pay licenses for it. So in this case,
Mhm.
these transactions validate that you did a business transaction.
Everything. Okay.
hmm
All
So we have
right.
checking account
21
for 21,625.
625. Yep.
Okay. We have
Furniture.
furniture, which was account number 13 50,000 for a total of $4,000, right?
$1,000. Yep. And we have the coffee brewer.
Okay.
Coffee.
I believe that was
And
count
we have the good
15,010.
15,010. Yep.
Okay.
And we,
For how much? 1,900.
yep.
Okay. And then I have
Goodwill.
Goodwill
It is 19,100.
for a total of.
Let me see. 2,100. Yeah.
Hmm. And then we had license
License and permit expense for 375. It is
Mm-hmm.
6,600.
Okay. And then last but not least, so these are my assets, right? I gained all this for my company, right? And then except for the
Yes.
last one is an expense. We know that if
Yes,
we
it's okay.
spend money for the company, we got to debit, right? Because expenses are always going to be debited. Now in
Yep.
this case, what am I increasing?
The equity
Yes, because in this case, right? How do we increase equity?
and the credit
Yes,
size.
we do that by debiting, or in this case crediting, my equity account
Equity. Yep.
by a total of what?
Of 30,000.
Okay, so in this case, because I'm using Excel, this is what I can do. I can do a formula to ensure that I didn't make any typos. So in this case, my total amount of equity should be $30,000, which is correct, right? That's my original investment into the company. That my company right now is valued at $30,000, and this is what my company consists of, right? It comes with to $21,625 worth of cash. It came with $4,000 worth of furniture. It came with $1,900 worth of coffee brewers. Okay, so in this
Yep.
case, right, now that I wrote my accounts right here, now the last thing I gotta do here is I have to put my description in order to complete my transaction here. So in this case, my description, I can put whatever I want in here. So in this case, I bought furniture, I bought a coffee brewer, and I bought Goodwill, right? So I could
Yep.
say I purchased a business for $8,000. Okay. I also had Nevada license for $250. Okay. I had city license for $100, and I also paid court costs to change my name of $25. Okay. And then right here is where you could type in, oh, I bought the business on May 31st, and I bought the license on June 2nd or June 3rd, et cetera, right? You can add all your dates there too if you'd like. You don't need to match exactly what I have, but that's why your description is also important, because it's whatever piece of information that you think is necessary in order for you to remember what this transaction is. Okay? So again,
Okay.
all descriptions must have one thing. It must be in parentheses for you to go ahead and place it in here. Right? So in this case, right, this is your memo. Right? In
The,
QuickBooks, we understand it as memos.
so the journal is a memo.
No,
The journal.
the journal is a list of all your transactions, right?
Uh-huh.
The description is your memo.
The description. Oh, I get
Of
it.
what the
I get
transaction
it.
is, right? It's a memo.
I get it. Now the cost. goodwill is in court. The $2,000, the $25 it cost.
No, that was the cost for me to change to change the
The
name.
name. Are we doing in court that?
Hmm.
Court
Yeah, it
cost?
says, yeah,
I didn't.
remember?
Hmm. I didn't know.
Court
I
cost
didn't know. Oh,
$25 to
court.
change the name.
I got it. I didn't pay attention to that.
No worries.
Okay.
All right.
Hmm.
So once that looks good, right? Now my journal is complete. Now for this class, what I'm going to have you do is I want you to update your ledger as soon as you finish journalizing.
The journalist.
Yes, because it is very crucial, right? When we are doing this, you need to know at least one thing and one thing only. How much
Mm-hmm.
money do you have in your checking account at all times?
All the time.
Right? Because if you do this and you wait till the very end, right, you will definitely make a lot of errors because you might be writing a bunch of checks out and not keeping track of what you have in your bank account. That is a dangerous, and on top of that, that's where you can write a lot of faulty checks because you're not doing a good job keeping track of your checking account. So, what I want
Mm-hmm.
you to do here is now that I completed my journal, right, I now want to update my ledger, my general ledger account. Okay. Now, again, the general ledger account is exactly just like the journal, except you have
With a
account balances, right?
balance.
So in this
That how
case,
is
mhm,
that how it look like the ledger. Like journal, you have a description, PR, and that's how it look like the ledger with the date, item, and two
mhm,
debit and credit.
mhm.
One with the balance and the other one with the account. No, with the okay.
Yeah, this
Mm-hmm.
is so and more or less of this, right? The journal and the ledger are identical, right? Except for one thing is different.
Mm-hmm.
You have
The
an
account.
account balance.
Yep.
Okay, so in this case, right, and this is what I recommend. So in this case, right, everything that you post into the journal, you're going to transfer exactly like you see it in your journal into your ledger. So in this case, right, I'm in my checking account, right? I locate my checking account. So we know that a checking account is my asset, right? This whole
Mm-hmm.
entire ledger is in order of the accounts, okay? And I even made it even more easier to find those accounts by going down to the bottom, right? And I separated each one by account type. So in this case, we recognize that all of these are assets. So therefore, here I am in my assets tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and look for them. Now, in this case, it's easy to look it up because there's not that many accounts. Now, if you're looking in a corporation that has millions and millions of transactions, then you need to be able to find some kind of method to be able to look up these accounts. Okay, if you're using Excel, you can use the lookup feature where you can highlight the whole row and then do Control Find or Control F and then type in those letters and it would automatically pull up that account. Or you can use the account numbers itself, right? If you know the account number, you'll be able to locate it a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But in this case, because this is a small business, there's not that many accounts. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll up and down. Okay. So in this case, checking account should be the very top of my chart of accounts on my assets tab, right? So it should be the
Yes,
second
I
account that you
see.
see.
What assets?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, exactly how you see it in your journal is exactly how you're going to copy it into your ledger. So in this case right here, when did I open my bank account? I opened it on
June 4.
June 4th, okay? Now, again, your item or your note or your description is whatever you want to put in here. So, in this case, in my journal, it says checking, but I know I'm in my checking account. So, in this case,
Mm-hmm.
what reason do you have for this transaction to occur? In this case, I am going to put I opened bank account, all right? So there you go. I opened my bank account. That's why this transaction has happened. So in this case, it's basically an extra memo, an extra reason why you did this transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Open bank. Oh my gosh, I misspelled so much. So open bank account, right? Now, as far as understand, like where you opened it, you don't have to. You can put it in there if you'd like, but that's just that right there, right?
So
Now,
you use a, that's what I didn't understand that when we was doing everything. You use a different ledger for each account, more or less. For
yes,
assets, you're checking for. Okay.
this is okay. So one document is your actual journal. The other
Yes.
document is your general ledger.
Yes. There you're gonna write just the transaction that you do with the checking. That's the reason when
Correct. The
that.
reason why I use my checking account, well, I opened up a bank account.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Now, in this case, right, my post reference here in my journal is the account number, right? But on my ledger, I my post reference is going to be slightly different because I don't need to retype in that I have my account number because it's already there in your ledger account, right? It's right there in the section. It says right here, account number is 10100. You don't need to
yes.
repeat information twice. However, in this case, right, when we're looking at the post reference on the ledger, you're going to be referring to where this transaction happened in your journal. So in this case, my post reference that this transaction had occurred, that it opened up a bank account, happened on my very first general journal, page number 1. So let's take a look at my general journal one more time. This one is going to be for page number 1.
But one of
Okay,
mm-hmm.
right? If you scroll all the way down, I believe you have the first 5 pages or first 2 pages of the general journal
Mm-hmm.
for the first week, right? This whole
Yes.
entire project is going to have a total of 25 general journal pages.
Really?
Okay, so it's just like a book, right? A book has pages, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly
Yeah.
the same thing here, except it's not like we're flipping through a book. It's because if you're doing manual payroll using an actual pen and paper, then yes, you would actually have a physical book that you flip pages for, and then you would make a note at the corner saying this is page 1, page 2, page 3,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in this case, we're using Excel, and this is the page I'm using. Now, in this case, I've already formatted this before you. All right, these pages actually fit on an actual 8.5 by 11 piece of paper if you print
Mm-hmm.
these out. Yes, they do fit exactly one piece of paper.
Exactly.
Yes. So in this case, this is page number 1 from the journal. So that's your point, that's your post reference for the ledger, is that this transaction happened on my general journal, page number 1.
One.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Absolutely.
exactly how you see in your journal, right? I debited my account for $21,625, right? So that means in
Mm-hmm.
my ledger, that's exactly what I'm going to record. That I put in 21,625 in my ledger. It's the same thing as I put in my journal, right? I debited my account for the 6,000
21.
21 6 25. Yes.
125.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And here I left it so then if you're using Excel, it's up to you how you want to format it, but I want it to show pennies. So there you go, like that. Now in this case, this is what I'm going to do. So because I have a debit balance, right? Right now I just debited my account. So therefore, if I started out with 0, what should be my what should be my balance in my account? Right now I'm at 0, right?
You
Right.
are zero on your account. Yeah, I don't understand. You have zero. You have $21,000 on your account.
Exactly. But which side, on my debit or my credit side?
Your debit side.
Correct. And this is where the normal balance comes into play. So in this case, we're saying that for checking, you're more likely to be increasing your checking account with a debit because I'm constantly adding money into my account. But then when I need to credit my account, right, or subtract it to make my payments, then I use a credit, and that's going to subtract my balance from my actual account balance. So in this case, because it's my first one here, it should be 21,625, right? Because that's what I started out with zero, but because I debited my account for 21,625, I should now have a debit balance of 21,625.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's your first. Yep. That's
Mm-hmm.
your balance on
Mm-hmm. So that's just that one account here. Every account that you used in your journal, you're going to update every single account in your ledger. So this was account number, the very first account. So the next account I need to update is going to be my furniture account. Okay.
So you go to ledger asset or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Ledger asset, and you're going to scroll down until you find furniture. So in this case, we know what the account number is for furniture, right? It's 13,000. So I can
Mm-hmm.
scroll down until I find 13,000, and here it is, right here. Account right here for 13,000 is my furniture account, right? And same thing I'm gonna add here, right? Is that I on June 4th, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I purchased, right?
It's furniture.
Purchased furniture, and this is where you could be specific, right? Maybe I purchased furniture on what was it, May 31st?
May
Okay.
31st. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I purchased furniture on May 31st. Okay. Now, again, this transaction happened on general journal page number 1. Okay. And in this case, right, in my journal, did I debit or credit my account?
Debit.
You debit it, right? You acquired an asset. You increased your asset, right? Because now you used to have no furniture. Now you do have furniture. And it's worth a total of $4,000. Okay? If I have, so then my account balance in this case is going to be, if I started out with zero furniture and I debited furniture, I now have a debit balance of furniture for
Furniture.
$4,000. Okay?
Mm-hmm. And yep,
Mm-hmm.
you continued with the rest of the asset too. Or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
some...
So what's the next one that we have to do?
So we have the coffee brewer.
Mm-hmm.
Brewer.
So we have to go scroll down and locate my coffee brewer, which is going to be under equipment. Here it is, coffee brewer. What was the date of this
The
transaction?
4th,
Mm-hmm.
June 4th. And the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I could say
Purchase.
I purchased this coffee brewer. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. This is going to be my first coffee brewer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
On May 31st. Okay? Because in the future, yes, I could have a potential possibility to purchase another coffee brewer if I wanted to. Right? So in this case, I purchased my first coffee brewer on May 31st. Okay?
So you do okay because you have an account. So you create a ledger too for the sub account and for the
For every single account that exists in your chart of accounts.
every single. Okay.
Every single one. So that's why when you do QuickBooks, right? When we do have
Uh-huh.
main accounts and sub accounts, right? They all have
Yes.
account balances.
Yes, and they all have a
They
ledger too. You
all,
can check all.
yes, that's exactly what a ledger does. It's all, every single account, even the ones that you don't even use at all. You will have to create a ledger account for every account that exists in your chart of accounts. So if you start creating more items underneath your chart of accounts, then yes, that means you need to also create a general ledger account.
Ledger.
Because every account that you have in your chart of accounts, you need to make sure that you have an account balance in it, even if it reflects zero. Okay, so there we go. So post reference, once again, this transaction happened on my first general journal.
Mm,
Now, did I debit or did I credit my account?
debit.
You debited for $1,900.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And because once again, right, that was the first thing I added on to my coffee brewer account. Therefore, I have a debit balance for $1,900. Right?
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So, what account is next?
So goodwill.
Goodwill is next. So let's keep flipping over until we find Goodwill. Okay, Goodwill. I think I just missed it. Goodwill. All right, account number 19100. There you go, Goodwill, which we know that this transaction happened on the 4th, right? Now, in this case, right, you can go ahead and refer to your Goodwill as whatever you'd like. In this case, I'm going to say that I purchased the business name on the 31st of May. All right. And in this case,
Mm-hmm.
general journal, right? This transaction happened on my first general journal. Okay. Now, because it's an intangible asset, right? I can't physically touch a business name. So in this case, right, it's considered an intangible asset, but I still own the business name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did I debit my account or I credit my account?
You still debit your account, no?
Say that again?
You debit your account.
Yes, correct. I debit my account for $2,100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And of course, because that's my beginning balance, right? Therefore, it equals to $2,100.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what account is next on the list?
Mm, license and permit expense.
Okay, so we know that this is an expense, right? Because it has the word expense in it. So in this case, I'm going to go down to my bottom here and I'm going to locate my expenses. In this case, I have it under operating expenses, right? So right here, I have operating expenses. Now for you, if you're using the Word document, it's going to be the very, very last couple pages in your ledger. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So once again, let's locate where my permit, license and permit expenses. So I have advertising. Okay, I have bank fees. I have all of the insurance expense.
Oh, you separate the ledger on many different on all the accounting.
All the accounts. I have labor expense. Boom. Here's my license and permit expense. Okay, license and permit expense. So in this case, it is the 4th. Now this is where you can also put in information, right? What did your business and what did your license and permit expense include? Well,
So your license,
mm-hmm,
the state and
the
the state
state
and
license, which was again $250.
150
My city license
license.
was $100. And I had to pay court cost to
That's
change the name of the
name.
business, which cost me $25. Okay. So in this case, post reference once again, I did this transaction happened on the first page of my journal, and it will give me a grand total of $375.
$5. Yep.
Okay. $375. All right, last but not least, what is my last account here on my list?
The equity, owner equity.
Owner's equity. So let's go ahead and locate my equity. So here's equity. All right, here you go. Owner's equity is the first account on my tab right here for equity. it is 64, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can type in here your original investment, which
Investment.
is what you started out with the company with, okay? Investment. Okay?
Investment.
This transaction, when did it happen? It happened on the first
The
journal.
first journal.
Okay. Now, did we debit the account or credit the account?
Credit.
We credited the account for $30,000. So therefore, in this case, right, I have a credit balance of $30,000.
30,000.
Okay, yeah, so this is definitely different, right? And like I said, this is the reason why we have our accounting model.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're going to increase our equity using a credit, right? Therefore, if I started out with 0 and I increased my account balance by 30,000 with a credit, therefore you should have a credit balance at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So there we go. And that is it for the very
Okay.
first transaction, right?
First day. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So when
So then,
yes.
okay, so that's the first transaction. Now, in this case, we're not going to be using my subsidiary ledger because I did not involve anybody, right? I didn't I didn't talk to anybody except for the bank. Right?
Yep.
Right? I acquired the company through the bank and all of the business licenses, I don't need to update anything because those already happened, right? The only thing I had here was my bank, which in this case, did you pay your bank something?
No.
No. So in this case, no, you just open an account with them. So no
Mm-hmm.
fees or anything was involved for creating this bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you don't need to use your subsidiary ledger only for individuals or for reasons of having a transaction. Okay, so let's see
Yes.
what happened next.
Oh, it's the same day you sell furniture.
The same day, well, in this case, not yet, right? What did we apply?
Well, credit
We
for line credit from main bank of Nevada.
Okay, so in this case, right, I applied for a credit line, okay,
Mm-hmm.
for the main Bank of Nevada. Now, in this case, can I journalize this transaction?
Yes. No.
Why?
You don't have any amount. You don't have anything. You don't have an approve even. So you don't know. They have to approve you first, no?
Exactly, right? All you did was simply apply, right?
Apply.
You don't know how much you got approved for. You don't know when you got it approved for, and you don't know, what if you got denied? Then obviously the
Mm-hmm.
transaction would not happen. But in this case, all I did was just apply. No transaction occurred, right? I
Mm-hmm.
didn't pay money to apply for a line of credit.
No.
Okay, so good. All right. Then again, like you said before, on the very same day, we end up deciding to sell the furniture that we have, and we received $2,000 for it cash. Okay. Okay. So before we move on, right, we need to go ahead and deposit the money into our bank account. All right. So we have a file, right, a little window right here for your deposits. In this case, right, I did make a deposit. I deposited $21,625 into my bank account as of the 4th of June.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important because, again, we do need to deposit this money in our bank account at all times.
Yep.
Okay, so going back
Yes.
to the scenario here, right? I end up selling furniture, but I only received $2,000. And let's see what this has happened. Okay,
The deposit is another stuff that you have to
it
put
should
in.
be in the Word document. I attached it to your check.
Mm-hmm.
Your check register, deposits, and purchase orders are all in one file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right? It's also, you should keep track of your money because just like in reality, right? If I received
Mhm.
cash in my hands, does it mean I have money in the bank?
No.
No, you actually have to physically deposit that money in order for you to
Right.
have it in the bank account. So this is the same situation here, right? So
But
now,
later,
go
oh,
ahead.
later we're gonna see that. Yeah, no, no. I say, well, if you receive the money,
Mm-hmm.
so you just write it on the cash ledger, and then when you deposit, you first you have a debit, and then later you credit your account for the amount when you take it out the money from you put the money on the bank. So
Yes. Well, in this
okay.
case, we're not doing what
Oh yes.
QuickBooks says, right? Because usually, in this case, I'll tell you this. Usually, well, in this case, right, we haven't even started our business yet, but are you gonna have
Yeah.
$2,000 walking around with cash?
No.
No, you should definitely go take it to the bank immediately, right? Because anybody
Mhm.
can go ahead and rob you right then and there.
Mhm.
So it's best bet that you should go take it to your checking to your bank account and deposit that $2,000.
Mhm.
Because in this case, I received $2,000 cash. I did not receive a check, I received cash. Okay, so in this case, right, and it says right here, request a new ledger account for to
For
record.
cash.
Okay, now in
For
this case,
cash.
right,
Mhm.
how much is my actual furniture?
The furniture, $2,000.
Okay, in this case, okay,
No, actually,
no,
we have a $4,000.
we have
Sorry,
$4,000 worth of
$4,000.
furniture, right? But
Yeah.
in this,
Yes.
because it's been used, right? Right? Because I
Mhm.
bought it off of somebody else who used it. Now, of course, in reality, if I'm selling it out to someone else, am I going to expect the same amount of money that I paid for it?
Nope.
No.
The same day.
You,
Actually, the same day you
not the
don't.
same day. This is this. Remember, we bought the furniture in May 31st,
May 31st. Yeah, you are
right?
right.
So in
That's
this
right. That's
case, right, the person that I sold it to, right, they don't know what we did with this couch.
right. Mhm.
And then we don't
That's
even know
right.
what we did with that couch. That's why we're selling it, right?
Mhm.
So in this case, right, we can't expect to be able to sell our furniture at $4,000 because we paid for it for $4,000.
Whatever thousand
But because
dollars
I'm
for
getting rid of all my furniture, I only end up receiving $2,000.
the depreciation is too fast, and that's even the straight the double is too much depreciation here.
I mean, in this case,
You know?
again, when you are a small business owner, you
Yeah,
have to take care of everything. You can't hire people if you don't have money to hire people.
sure.
So in this case, right, you have to the owner has to do everything. So in this case, the owner is telling you, hey, I just sold my furniture, all of it for $2,000. Now in this case, let's take a look, right? If I sold all of it, it's supposed to be worth $4,000 because of the historical cost value, right? This is where I mentioned to you, when you buy your furniture, you record it at historical cost. So
Mm-hmm.
in my books, I recorded it for $4,000. But
$4,000.
I take that furniture and I sell it back out to whoever wants to purchase it. But I only received $2,000 for it.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, what do I need to recognize?
You have to go to $2,000 on credit. You have no. You lost $2,000.
You lost $2,000. Excellent. Now in this case, right? This is theoretical. I don't have a loss on disposal of asset account. In this case, I'm just going to throw it into miscellaneous expense because I don't know what to do with this $2,000. In this case, right, you lost invisible money because in this case, you didn't spend $2,000 to get rid of your asset, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, this is going to be called a non-cash transaction, but I don't know what to do with this money. So I'm going to tell you place it into an account called miscellaneous expense because I don't know what I want to do with this money. I'm going to Bob maybe requested to me, hey, if anything, why don't you go create a new account so then I have a place for it. But for now, go ahead and place it into miscellaneous expense. So let's go ahead and take a look at my chart of accounts one more time. Okay?
Yep. So miscellaneous account is
Okay?
what liability? No.
In this case, right, I lost money. Okay? But in this case, right, let's take a look. I told you, well, we received money, okay?
Uh-huh.
And my best bet is you should not have that in your pocket at all times. You should go take it to the bank and deposit it. So therefore, I have a checking account, right?
Mm-hmm.
I received money. Okay?
Yes.
Now, in this case, I also sold my furniture. Therefore, I need to decrease my furniture account. And we know we have a furniture account. But do I have a miscellaneous expense account?
Yes, in an asset.
In assets, okay. So in this case, I just placing it there for now. It's a temporary placeholder. What account number is that?
19,990.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do our journal once again. Okay, so this time, today is June 4th, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we at least know this, right? We sold furniture. So therefore,
Yes.
we're increasing our checking account because we received money. We received $2,000 worth of money, right? But in
Okay.
this
This is
case,
yes.
right, since I got rid of my all of
Mm-hmm.
my furniture is worth $4,000, right? So in this case, I
So
lost $2,000 somewhere, right?
yes,
So therefore, again,
miscellaneous expense.
I told you to put it into miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous expense. Okay. Checking. Oh, so that's they will be going to 2,000.
Yes, so in this case, my miscellaneous expense account is going to be for $2,000, right? And this account was 19,990.
990.
Okay. And of course, because I got rid of my furniture, I need to decrease my furniture account because I no longer have it. It's gone. It's out of my company. So therefore, I'm going to be crediting my account, my
For
furniture
4,000.
account, for a total of $4,000. Now, in this case, I could use my formula here to ensure no typos were made, right? 2,000 plus 2,000 gives me 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then now I can go ahead and make a note here that I sold furniture. Okay. But in this case, I can make
Yeah.
it easier by saying loss on sale of furniture. Okay. That will be my description.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we're going to the ledger.
Now we go to the ledger, of course. So this is where we're going to practice using the account balances, right? So if I go to my ledger account, first thing I see on the list of my chart of my journal, right? What was
The
the first
checking.
account?
The
Checking.
checking.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I want you to do. Because the way that we write our journal, right? I'm writing it in this specific order. But in this case, as a beginner user of this book, right? I want you to practice it this way, where exactly the same exact order that I have it in my journal, I want you to place it in the same exact order as you have it in your ledger. Because I don't want you, if let's say I have a checking account and then I have a bunch of other assets and then, or an expense account and then an asset and then a liability, I want you to do it the exact order this way. So one, you don't confused, and two, you don't skip around things because that's one of the most often common mistakes that students do. They think, oh, I'm gonna go to checking. Oh, why jump to a liability and then go back to a checking account? It's because oftentimes they forget to do it, and then that's why they have problems in their books. Okay, so in this case, best rule of thumb for beginners is to just follow the exact order you have it in your journal and update each account accordingly. So the first one I have here is
Mm-hmm.
my checking account,
Checking account.
okay, which is under assets, right? So that should be all the way at the top of your page, okay, checking account. Now, today is June 4th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, what did I do here? In this case, you could say We sold
Sell.
furniture,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
right? We sold furniture. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When did this transaction happen?
Page one.
Page 1. Okay, in this case, did we gain money or did we lose money?
We lose, but we put inside the $2,000 on the bank, so
Well,
we
that's
didn't take
because,
it out anything.
well, in this case, right, let's look at my checking account. Did I increase my cash or did I decrease my cash?
Increase
You increased because you received $2,000,
2,000.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, right, if I increase my checking account, right,
There's debit.
it should be debit. So then, therefore, what should be my account balance?
$2,000 on debit, so on the balance.
So in this case, how much is my
Oh,
total amount?
oh, we add, so we have a 23,635.
Correct. So in this
Oh,
case, if you
yeah.
are using Excel, right? So in this case, but because we debited our account, we increased our cash flow. So therefore, we're going to take our previous balance. We're going to add 2,000, right? And
Mm-hmm.
subtract nothing because this is the formula, but you're not using Excel. So in this case, right, I should have now 23,625 because I received additional $2,000.
$2,000.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So on the normal, you don't wait until the end that you close the this for to balance the account.
Why would you wait till the very end?
No, I don't know. But you write everything, and then at the end, you remember that we write everything like on the petty cash or register. You write all the receipt, and then later you how you do that? You how you say that? Sum everything, and then you write the check. You remember the how we did it?
Okay, so that right there is called an adjustment entry. It's
Mm-hmm.
where it's a procedure that you do typically at the
To
end.
process.
But in this case, this is not an adjustment entry. This is a regular general journal entry, an actual daily transaction. You
Mm-hmm.
have to do
Daily
this every day.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the best thing
Mm-hmm.
about having a checking account is that at least you know how much money you have in the bank at all
Good
times.
night.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that right there. What's the next account that we're looking at?
So miscellaneous expense.
Miscellaneous expense which should be at the very bottom, should be the very last account in your checking account, or sorry, in your assets. So again,
I said.
why do I go to furniture? Because you're going to forget the miscellaneous expense.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, let's just follow the rules here and just go in exact order.
Miscellaneous.
So here's my miscellaneous expense, and I'm going to go ahead and today is the 4th, right? June 4th. Now, what's your
Mm-hmm.
note that you're going to put here? Why do you have this $2,000 under miscellaneous expense?
You lost on furniture sale.
Good, good. Loss. Okay, loss due to
Lost
um
furniture sale.
selling, yeah, furniture sale. Okay, good. Okay. Or okay, yeah,
Page.
loss. Actually, let me do that again. Loss due to selling furniture.
Furniture. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, post
Mm-hmm.
reference once again. This transaction happened on the first journal.
First page. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then now let's talk about this. Is this a debit or a credit?
It's a debit.
It is a debit for $2,000. So therefore, because this is my very first account that I am looking at, right? I generally will have a debit balance of
Debit balance.
$2,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you
Now,
just
mhm.
copy what you have on the journal. You just put it the same.
Yes, yes, yes. Whatever you have in your journal, you're copying it
Same.
into your ledger, except the only difference here is you're calculating your balance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what's the next account that we have here?
The furniture.
Furniture. So let's scroll all the way up till we find furniture. Furniture. Here it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So today is June 4th. Okay. Now, in this case, I sold my furniture,
Sold.
right?
Sold furniture. Yep.
All right. Again, this happened on my general journal number 1. Now, in this case, did I debit or credit my account?
Credit.
You credited your account for $4,000. So in this case, right,
Yeah.
a
So
credit
you write.
decreases my assets, right? So in this case, if I started out with $4,000 worth of furniture and I end up getting rid of $4,000 worth of furniture, how much furniture should I have left?
0.
0, right? Because
None.
debits, right, increase furniture, but in this case, I sold it. I got rid of it. So therefore, I had to decrease my account using a credit. So in this case right now, I have 0 furniture in my hands because once again, I don't know what the previous shop did. Maybe I don't like that. It doesn't match my store. I don't know who used it, right? So I'm getting rid of it. Okay? And how do I get rid of it? Exactly like this. Okay? Now in this case, do I know who I sold it to?
No.
No. Do you care who you sold this to?
No.
Not really, because I don't care. Whatever they do with it, it's off my hands. I don't care. So therefore, no need to use your subsidiary ledger. All right? So in this case, right, what I'm teaching here is every time you journal something, you must post it to your ledger so you know your account balances at all times. Okay? Now here's one thing we noticed, right? We got cash in our hands, right? Therefore,
Yes.
we need to put that into our deposits because that's exactly what we said. We said that we had $2,000 on our hands. However, because I said recommending you shouldn't walk around with $2,000 in your pocket,
What's that 1.5?
I made a typo there. I made a typo there. I suppose with the date. So in this case, if I have $2,000 in my pocket and I recommend you to not have $2,000 in your pocket, right? You should go to your bank and immediately deposit it.
Deposit.
So that means this very same day, I went and deposited the $2,000.
2000. You don't. Okay.
Okay. All right. Are you good with me so far?
Yep.
Okay. So, all right. So right now it is exactly 3:01. So let's go ahead and take our quick 20-minute and we could do 15-minute break since you're the only one here.
Okay.
And then we'll come back to this. We'll come back and we'll continue on with the next section here. Okay.
No problem.
All right. Okay. I'll see you back at 3:15 or 3:18. I'll give you a couple extra minutes.
Okay. No problem. Bye.
Bye.